Hey, Bruce Naylor here, your boomer consumer. Think this is going to be a pretty fun video. What if you were in the market for a small amplifier that was really versatile, very well made, had a lot of power, but yet you're on a limited budget, right? Maybe you don't have a lot of money, or you don't want to risk a lot of money on getting into this whole hi-fi thing. But you want something that's going to be flexible. Maybe you can grow with you. Maybe something that has multiple uses. Maybe you want to use it with some bookshelf speakers. Maybe you want to power some subwoofers. Maybe you want to build out a home theater system. Again, you want to keep the price low. Well, guess what? I've got the answer for you. The Douk, or is it Douk? I've heard it pronounced both different ways. A100. This is a Class D power amplifier, integrated amplifier, because you do have control over things like volume and, well, we'll get into all the features here in a minute. Made like a tank. I kid you not, this thing is one solid piece of kit. So, without further ado, I want to thank Douk, or Douk, for sending this to me for review. And if you like my videos, please hit that like button, share, subscribe. Help me grow this channel. But you know what? Enough talk. Let's go ahead and let's dig a little bit deeper into the A100. Let's go ahead and unbox the Douk. Some people call it Douk. I'm going to go with Douk audio. This is the A100. Not been opened. Not opened the box. Definitely a little bit on the chunky side. Let's see what we get. Oh, okay. All right. Douk audio, make hi-fi affordable. Power output table of the A100. So it depends on the power supply that you got, but the top power supply would be 48 volts, 10 amps, which would make 480 watts. And then full power, 8 ohms, stereo mode, 185 watts per channel, or in mono mode, 190 watts per channel into two channels, or into one channel into mono mode. It's kind of interesting. And then, of course, you have your ratings at 6 and 4 ohms. At 4 ohms, in stereo mode, 250 watts into 2 channels, and 315 watts if you're doing mono. Okay, cool. Interesting. Anything else in here? I think it opens. It looks like it opens. There we go. So it's got measurements and all that kind of stuff in there. Nice. There we go. Okay. Got the warranty. Pass. I think you get a 1-year warranty on here. There we go. Founded in Shenzhen, China. All right. And now, let's open this. Ta-da. Let's see what we got here. I'm actually interested in looking through this power supply. They say it's a custom power supply. That is a heavy power brick. There we go. 48 volts into 5 amps for a total of 240 watts. So let's go to the chart. We got the 5 amp, there we go, into 8 ohm speakers, 102 watts per channel into stereo, 190 if you're putting it into mono, running in mono blocks. Way more than enough power. Way more than enough power. That is a heavy-duty brick. Okay, what else we got? Oh, yes, the old figure 8 power cord. There we go. And then finally, we have, and that is chunky. That has got some serious weight to it. Let's go ahead and get it out of here. All right, and that's it for the box. Very nicely made. Okay, you can have it in the mono mode or stereo mode. You got actual toggle switches. Okay, well, I'm going to be running this in stereo mode. So apparently you can adjust the subwoofer frequency on here. I'm going to go ahead and just 2 positions, flat and sub. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it in flat for right now. I actually don't have subwoofers to hook up to this right now. something they call super bass. And I can feel a detent in the switches right here. And then this would be your subwoofer frequency, where you can kind of put whatever the low frequencies you want to the sub, with the rest being frequencies being sent to your, say, your bookshelf speakers or your primary speakers. And then you have an auxiliary volume on here, because you can actually kind of just use this as a preamp for something else. And then your volume control. What I don't see, though, is a power. Oh, this must. Oh, there you go. That's your off. Okay. The whole body of this thing is basically a heatsink. The whole thing. So you get some nice features with this. Let's just kind of talk about some of those. The reason you'd want this. First off, of course, we talked a little bit about the power ratings. You have signal-to-noise ratio of 115 dB, sign out of 94 dB, okay? Again, uses that TPA3255 chip. And that's such a popular chip. That's in almost all of these high-powered mini amplifiers. This isn't actually an integrated amplifier, because, you've got your preamp and amplifier all in one unit. Douk says it uses a 4-layer PCB board. You get what's called post-filter feedback technology. That just helps with distortion. It's kind of a thing with Class D amplifiers. It's a way to make them sound even a little bit better. And they're really proud of the components inside, because you get Japanese Rubicon components, WIMA German capacitors. There's Nichicon in here. Of course, you get your mono mode. You can use 2 of these in mono blocks. Custom-made 48-volt power supply. You get your subwoofer out, and it's a fully balanced design. Interestingly enough, they say it's a balanced design, but there's no balanced inputs on here. Let's take a look at the back. Your audio input, auxiliary out, and then you would have your speaker terminal out. By the way, this is copper. It's supposed to be copper. Yep, that's copper. All right, and then again, how you would, if you do it mono, oops, just pop. Sorry, tap the camera. All right, so if you're doing mono, you would connect positive and negative here, and so you got a mono block. If you're doing a stereo, then of course your right and your left channel on here, and that's where you plug in your power supply. This could go to auxiliary out, could go to a powered subwoofer, something like that. Interesting design. Boy, it's heavy though. I think it weighs about 2.5 pounds. I like the case. I mean, it's just like one big heat sink. All right, and I think it looks pretty cool. I think it looks seriously cool. And you get this low pass filter for your subwoofer. It's not marked just what frequency you're cutting over this low pass filter, but nonetheless, maybe it's in the documentation somewhere. The size looks like it's almost 6 inches across, and just about the same in depth. Just a little bit. It's like 5.59 inches in depth, and then 2.36 inches tall. And they said it weighs 2.5 pounds. So this is a solid 2.5 pounds, that's for sure. It feels very, very solid. That's what you're getting for your $100. Now that's the price with the discount as of the date of this recording. The MSRP was, again, the date of this recording is $199. I'm sure it's going to be normally around about $100. But boy, that is a nice unit. I gotta admit, nice and solid. Okay, so what's next here? Well, I think what we'll do is we'll hook this up, and we will play some royalty-free music to kind of give you an idea how it sounds, and do a little bit of testing, and then I will be back. Okay, so that was a demo of the A100. You know, I use my equipment to record it, capture the sound. It's probably not the best in the world. Maybe it gives you somewhat of an idea. But at any rate, let's talk a little bit more about the A100. And I forgot to mention that this has swappable op amps on it. You also have an independent auxiliary output that's amplified and has its own knob volume adjustment on it. This thing is just so super, super versatile. So I asked myself some questions when I look at these amps and when I look at hi-fi gear. First off, is it cleared and detailed? Very clear. Okay, there's absolutely no distortion that I noticed, and I pushed it pretty hard. Detail is very, very good on these. The TPA, what is the 3255 chip, just does such a marvelous job. They're using it in so many of these Class D amps. But they also use the feedback loop design on there that kind of eliminates some of the distortion that came from Class D amplifiers. So that's pretty cool. Next question I asked myself, how was the imaging on this thing? Well, I use, for my speakers, my passive speakers, I use the KEF Q150s, which basically have really good imaging to begin with. I thought it was very good. I was able to, have this large sound stage and lots of good separation. And I think that the A100 did a good job controlling bass. Speaking of which, the super bass. Couldn't find a lot of information on it, but it didn't seem to really make much difference in the stereo mode, or I didn't try it in mono mode. Obviously, I don't have two of these, just one. I'm guessing it probably has more to do with when you're using it in conjunction with the subwoofer. If I cranked it, I did think that music sounded maybe a little bit fuller. I'm not really sure on that, but I didn't see any real noticeable improvement using the super bass. As far as power is concerned, this puppy has a lot of kick to it. It's going to be enough to drive just about any hard-to-drive speakers, so I don't think there's any issue there. Was there noise? Was there distortion? Now, I held my ears closely to the drivers on the Q150s, didn't hear a hint of noise. That's great. Nor did I hear really any distortion. And I pushed this amp pretty doggone hard. No, it never really got hot, kind of warm. The whole body of this thing is a patented heat sink design. It is one brick of a heat sink. A couple albums that I used to audition this with. Obviously, I can't play these for you because of copyright, but one is this album right here, Wayne Shorter's Adam's Apple with Herbie Hancock. Joe Chambers is in it. And the track, 502 Blues. The saxophone just sounded really, really incredible with the A100. And I know this disc. I know the tracks on here. It's one that I use as kind of a standard reference, especially 502 Blues. And at no point did the A100 ever really disappoint. Another album. And come on, how many people don't love Steely Dan's Gaucho? It's one of their best-selling albums. And Hey 19 just was fantastic on here. Just fantastic. And rich, full-bodied sound. Again, no distortion. It's clear. I'm trying to avoid all the audiophile jargon that goes out there and all that flowery language. That's what you want to know, right? Does it get loud? Is it clear? You don't hear any distortion? The amp doesn't get hot? That kind of thing. Is it something I can use day in and day out? Yes, it's a quality built product. I can compare this somewhat to the Fosse V3 monos. However, since I don't have two, it really wouldn't be a great comparison. But I think as far as features and versatility goes, the A100 has it over the V3 monos. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. The price of these, the retail is showed on Amazon of $199, but there's a 50% off coupon as of the date of this recording, so it's $100, and I think that's pretty much the price that it's going to be. Another thing I asked myself What's the pros, the cons? Well, I think I mentioned all the pros. Lots of versatility, swappable op amps on there. Gets lots of power for the price. Lots of features on this. Very versatile. So I didn't really find a whole lot of cons. If there was any con at all, it had to do with the position of the volume control relative to how much power this was putting out. And it just seemed pretty quiet up till about the 2 o'clock position. It did get loud, a little bit louder and louder, but it really didn't start kicking butt until you're about at the, about the 3 o'clock position. And then it really takes over, and then the volume really picks up. So that's really about it. I think for the $100 that Douk is asking for this thing, this is a super versatile piece of kit. It sounds great. It does the job it's intended to do. What more could you ask for? Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.